My coworker secretly tried to destroy my life. But I fought back an emotional Reddit-style story time about betrayal, stalking, and survival. My coworker Anna spent months sabotaging me, emails, lies, even graffiti, but the truth finally came out. I never thought my life at work would turn into something that sounded more like a soap opera than a professional environment. But that's exactly what happened when I met Anna. At first, she seemed harmless, just another colleague I'd occasionally bump into in the break room. She smiled politely, asked casual questions about where I was from, and even pretended to show interest in my bilingual skills. But soon, her curiosity shifted into something darker. What started as small, offhand remarks quickly spiraled into full-on harassment, and before I knew it, my job, my sanity, and even my sense of identity were being put to the test. The beginning. It all started when my manager asked me to help out on a project that involved communicating with a Spanish-speaking client. I was excited. I grew up bilingual, and I always thought of my ability to switch between English and Spanish as a strength. During one of the meetings, I effortlessly switched to Spanish to clarify a point with the client. Everyone seemed impressed, except Anna. She was sitting across the table, arms folded, face tightening with every word I spoke. At first, I thought maybe she was just tired or stressed. But the moment the meeting ended, she pulled me aside with a look that could cut glass. "Why were you showing off like that? Nobody asked you to play translator," she hissed. I was taken aback. "I wasn't showing off," I explained calmly. "The client needed clarification. I just thought it would help." Anna rolled her eyes and walked away, muttering something about attention seekers. I brushed it off, thinking it was just an off day. But it was only the beginning. The subtle jabs. Over the next few weeks, Anna made little digs whenever she got the chance. If I said something in Spanish on a call, she'd smirk and whisper loudly to another coworker, "There she goes again, Miss Bilingual." If my work was praised in a meeting, she'd chime in with, "Yeah, but she probably just Googled half of it." She even started mimicking my accent whenever I slipped into Spanish, exaggerating her voice in a cruel, mocking tone. At first, people laughed nervously, as if they weren't sure whether she was joking or just being rude. But soon, the laughter faded, and the room would fall into awkward silence whenever she pulled one of her stunts. The escalation. One day, during lunch, a group of us were chatting about travel. Someone asked me what it was like visiting Spain. I started telling them about my trip to Barcelona when Anna suddenly interrupted. "Oh my God, do you ever stop talking about being Spanish? We get it, you're so exotic. Congratulations." The entire table went quiet. My cheeks burned, and I mumbled something about needing to get back to my desk. Later that week, I found out Anna had been spreading rumors behind my back. She told people I was faking being bilingual just to get ahead. She even claimed I was lying about my heritage to seem more interesting. It was humiliating. The breaking point. The final straw came during a staff meeting. I had prepared a detailed report and was presenting it when Anna suddenly raised her hand. "Sorry, I just have to ask," she said loudly, with a smirk. "Did you write this yourself, or did Google Translate help you out again?" The room went dead silent. My manager looked horrified. I felt my throat tighten, but I forced myself to stay composed. "Yes, I wrote this myself," I said firmly. "And for the record, being bilingual isn't a gimmick. It's a skill. One that helps our clients and our company." Anna laughed, but no one joined her. After the meeting, my manager called me into her office. She told me she had noticed Anna's behavior and assured me it would be addressed. But part of me wondered if the damage was already done. The fallout. A week later, HR called me in. They had received multiple complaints about Anna, not just from me, but from other coworkers too. Apparently, she'd been making snide remarks to others as well, though I had been her main target. She was given a formal warning, but instead of apologizing, she doubled down. She started ignoring me completely, slamming drawers when I walked by, and making passive-aggressive comments under her breath. One day, I overheard her on the phone, saying, "I don't know why they even hired her. She doesn't belong here." That was the moment I realized, this wasn't just about me speaking Spanish. This was about prejudice, jealousy, and insecurity. The aftermath. Eventually, Anna's behavior caught up to her. Clients complained about her unprofessionalism, coworkers avoided working with her, and within a few months, she was let go. When the news broke, she stormed out of the office, shooting me one last glare that was filled with pure venom. I wish I could say I felt triumphant. But the truth is, I just felt tired. Exhausted from months of being undermined, ridiculed, and attacked simply for embracing who I am. Just when I thought the nightmare was over, I got an unexpected message. It was from Anna. The subject line of the email read, "You ruined my life." The email. When I saw the subject line, my stomach dropped. "You ruined my life." I hesitated for a long time before opening it, but curiosity won. Inside was a long, rambling message from Anna. She accused me of stealing her career, of making her look bad on purpose, and of manipulating everyone into thinking I was the victim. "You're nothing but a fraud," she wrote. "You think you're better than me because you can speak another language. Well, guess what? That doesn't make you smarter. It just makes you fake. If I lose everything, it's on you." The tone shifted from anger to desperation and back again. At one point, she even begged me to tell HR she wasn't that bad. By the end, I was shaking. The email was more than just a rant, it was a glimpse into how much resentment she'd been harboring. I didn't reply. I forwarded it to HR, then deleted it from my inbox. But the words haunted me. The return of the shadow. For a while, I thought that was the end. Anna had been fired, and I could finally breathe again. I poured myself into my work, rebuilt my confidence, and tried to let go of the anxiety that had been gnawing at me for months. But just when I thought I was free, she resurfaced. At first, it was subtle. I noticed fake accounts leaving nasty comments on my LinkedIn posts. They'd accuse me of lying, of stealing credit for other people's work. One even said, "Ask her how many times she used Google Translate today." It was unmistakably Anna. Then, I started getting prank calls late at night. Silence on the other end, or someone whispering fraud before hanging up. I changed my number, tightened my social media privacy, and even considered moving apartments. But it didn't stop. The confrontation. One evening, as I was leaving work, I saw her. She was standing across the street, watching me. When our eyes met, she smiled, not a friendly smile, but one of pure malice. I froze. My instinct screamed at me to turn around, to run back into the building. But I forced myself to walk steadily to my car. As I reached for the door, she called out, "Hope you're enjoying my job, thief." I turned to face her. "Anna, you need to stop this. It's over. Please, just move on." Her smile faltered for a moment, then twisted into a scowl. "You don't get it, do you? You took everything from me. And I'm not going to stop until you feel what I felt." I got in my car and drove away, hands trembling on the wheel. That night, I barely slept. Every creak of the apartment made me jump. I couldn't shake the image of her standing there, watching me. The breaking point. Things escalated quickly after that. One morning, I arrived at work to find graffiti sprayed across the office building's side wall, fraud in giant red letters. Security footage later revealed a hooded figure who looked suspiciously like Anna, though the video was too grainy for absolute proof. Then came the emails. Dozens of them, from different throwaway accounts. All saying the same thing, "You don't belong here." I broke down in HR's office, tears streaming down my face as I explained everything. They promised to contact the police if it continued. But what terrified me most wasn't the graffiti or the emails. It was the creeping realization that Anna wasn't just lashing out anymore, she was obsessed. The investigation. The company decided enough was enough. They contacted law enforcement, and soon I was speaking with a detective. He listened carefully, jotting down notes as I described the harassment, the emails, the phone calls, the graffiti. "Do you think she's dangerous?" I asked quietly. He looked at me with a seriousness that sent a chill down my spine. "Obsession can turn dangerous very quickly. We'll look into it." Days turned into weeks. The investigation dragged on, but the harassment didn't stop. If anything, it grew worse. One morning, I found an envelope taped to my apartment door. Inside was a single piece of paper with the words, "Watch your back." My hand shook as I showed it to the detective. He nodded grimly. "We'll increase patrols near your building." But patrols couldn't protect me 24/7. And Anna knew it. The twist. Just when I was at my breaking point, something unexpected happened. Another email landed in my inbox, but this one was different. It was from a woman I didn't know. She claimed to be Anna's former friend. She wrote, "I don't know you, but I need to warn you. Anna isn't just angry at you. She's angry at the world. She's been like this for years, always looking for someone to blame. You're not the first, and you won't be the last. Please be careful. She needs help, but she won't get it. She only knows how to destroy." I read the message 3 times, my heart pounding. Could this be real? Or was it just another mind game from Anna herself? I decided to forward it to the detective, just in case. He told me they were building a case and that every piece of evidence mattered. Still, doubt gnawed at me. If Anna really had a history of this behavior, why hadn't anyone stopped her before? One night, as I was locking up my apartment, I heard footsteps in the hallway. I turned, and there she was. Anna. Standing at the end of the corridor, staring at me. She didn't speak. She didn't move. She just stood there, eyes locked on mine, as if daring me to make the first move. My breath caught in my throat. And that's when I realized, the nightmare wasn't over. It was only just beginning. The corridor standoff. For what felt like an eternity, neither of us moved. The narrow hallway was dead silent, save for the faint hum of a flickering light bulb above. Anna stood motionless, her face partially obscured by shadows, her lips curling into a smirk that made my blood run cold. "You ruined everything," she whispered. I clenched my keys tightly in my fist, ready to use them as a weapon if I had to. "Anna, leave me alone. This isn't going to end the way you think." She tilted her head, eyes glinting with something between madness and amusement. "Oh, it will. You'll see." Before I could respond, she turned abruptly and walked away, her footsteps echoing until the sound disappeared. I rushed inside my apartment, bolted the door, and called the detective immediately. He promised to send a patrol car, but by the time they arrived, she was long gone. That night, I sat awake until dawn, jumping at every sound, certain she would come back. The breaking of silence. The next week was eerily quiet. No emails, no calls, no graffiti. At first, I hoped maybe she'd finally given up. Maybe the investigation scared her enough to back off. But deep down, I knew it wasn't over. And I was right. On Friday morning, I found an unmarked box waiting outside my door. Inside was a cracked photo frame, an old team picture from work. Anna had circled my face in red ink, over and over, until the paper was torn. Attached was a note, "Tick-tock. The escalation." The detective didn't mince words. "This isn't just harassment anymore. It's a threat." He urged me to file for a restraining order, which I did immediately. The court granted it, but enforcing it was another matter. Anna seemed to slip through cracks, always staying just far enough away to avoid arrest, but close enough to let me know she was still there. My life became a cage of paranoia. I changed my routine, stopped going out at night, even switched gyms. Still, I'd catch glimpses of her, on a bus across the street, in a cafe window, once even standing at the corner near my office. Always watching. The breaking point at work. One afternoon, as I was finishing a project presentation, my manager called me into his office. "Ivy, there's been a development," he said cautiously. He slid a stack of printed emails across the desk. My stomach turned as I recognized the accusations. Anna had been sending anonymous messages to the company board, claiming I falsified reports, sabotaged projects, and lied about my qualifications. My manager sighed. "We know it's baseless. But the board is taking it seriously. We'll need to conduct an internal review." I felt like the floor had been ripped from under me. Even though they claimed to believe me, doubt had already been planted. That night, I broke down completely. For the first time, I questioned whether I could survive this. Whether Anna would win after all. The turning tide. But just when things seemed hopeless, fate shifted. The detective called me a week later. "We got her." Anna had been caught trespassing on another former colleague's property. Turns out, I wasn't her only target. She'd harassed at least 3 other people from her past jobs. With multiple restraining orders and mounting evidence, the police finally had enough to press charges: stalking, harassment, and destruction of property. When I heard the news, I cried, not out of sadness, but sheer relief. The trial. Months later, I sat in a courtroom, watching Anna in handcuffs. She looked smaller somehow, less intimidating without the shadows and venom in her voice. But the hatred in her eyes hadn't dimmed. She pled not guilty, insisting that I had ruined her life. That I had orchestrated everything to make her look crazy. But the evidence was overwhelming. The emails, the graffiti, the box with the photo, each piece stacked against her until even her lawyer looked defeated. The judge's gavel came down with finality: guilty on multiple counts. She was sentenced to time in a correctional facility and mandated psychiatric treatment. Aftermath. The day Anna was taken away, I felt like I could finally breathe again. But the scars remained. I jumped at shadows, flinched at unexpected knocks, and slept with my phone clutched in my hand. My company reinstated me fully, and the review concluded in my favor. My colleagues, who once whispered doubts, now rallied around me. Some even apologized for not standing by me sooner. Slowly, I began to rebuild. Therapy helped. So did leaning on the friends who had stayed true throughout the nightmare. Yet part of me still wonders, what if she comes back one day? What if she never truly lets go? Reflection. Looking back, I realize now that Anna's vendetta was never really about me. I was just the unlucky person who became the focus of her rage. Her downfall wasn't caused by me, it was her own refusal to take responsibility, her obsession with blaming others instead of healing herself. But that doesn't erase the months of fear, the stolen peace of mind, the toll it took on my soul. I've learned that sometimes, the real horror isn't a stranger in the dark. It's the coworker smiling at you across the office, hiding knives behind their words. It's been 6 months since the trial. Life is quieter now. Easier. But last night, as I walked home, I noticed a scrap of paper tucked under my windshield wiper. My heart froze as I unfolded it. Scrawled in messy handwriting were just 2 words. "Miss me?" The long road back. Even after Anna's sentencing, freedom didn't feel immediate. Trauma has a way of lingering, replaying itself when you least expect it. For weeks, I'd wake up at 3 a.m., convinced I heard someone in the hallway. My therapist called it residual fear, the mind's way of protecting itself even when the danger was gone. But slowly, those nights grew less frequent. I started walking home without constantly glancing over my shoulder. I laughed more freely with friends. I even joined a new class, painting, something I'd put off for years. It wasn't about forgetting what happened. It was about reclaiming the parts of myself that Anna couldn't touch. A warning to others. When I finally shared my full story online, the response shocked me. Hundreds of strangers commented, many of them confessing they'd endured their own versions of workplace bullying, harassment, or toxic colleagues. Some wrote that they wished they'd spoken up sooner, others that they felt less alone after reading my experience. It made me realize, silence protects abusers. Speaking out may feel terrifying, but it can be the first step to breaking their control. The last message. 2 months ago, I received an anonymous email. No greeting, no signature. Just a single sentence. You can't erase me. The authorities traced it to a public computer, unconnected to Anna, or at least, unprovably so. Maybe it was her. Maybe it wasn't. Either way, I realized something. Whether or not she tries to reach out again, I refuse to live in fear. Anna took enough from me. She doesn't get the rest of my life. Closing thoughts. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: monsters don't always come from dark alleys. Sometimes, they sit 2 desks away, sipping coffee, smiling like friends. But even the worst shadows can't survive the light of truth. And while the story may not have the perfect ending, it has the most important one. I'm still here.